Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, senior three students. Hoping that you're fine and you're still safe. Today we are looking at Islam paper 2, and in particular we are looking at section B, where we're going to be looking at the articles of faith. By the time we went, we had talked about most of them, and today we are going to look at the Day of Judgment, the Day of Resurrection. That is what we are going to look at today. One thing we have to know is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man. And after creating man, he gave him life. And after giving him life, man was placed onto the earth, whereby he was given a free will. Man was given a free will. This free will is the one to help man to choose between what is right and what is wrong. Why are we looking at the free will? Because at the end of the day, when this day comes, man's fate is going to be determined largely on what he did while still living on earth, whether right or wrong. So, having been given a free will, man was also given the prophets. Because in every regime that came from the time of Adam up to the time of Prophet Muhammad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was sending prophets. What was the basic purpose of the prophets? To guide mankind on the right path, so that man does not go astray. Allah did not create man because he wanted him to live or to suffer a miserable life on the earth and in the hereafter. He wanted him to be guided so that after dying, man can enjoy the life after. So that's why man was given the prophets to guide him in his life. So, life on earth is very short, and it is not permanent. Today we are living, but tomorrow we are going to die. Some of the prophets said that work for today as if you're going to die tomorrow. What does that one mean? That today you are there, but there is an aspect of death to happen to you. Also, the Quran says that every soul shall have a taste of death. What does this one mean? That much as Allah created us, the human beings, the mankind, and placed us onto this world, onto this earth, there is going to come a time when we are going to test death. We are going to test death. And after testing this death, we shall have a time of being judged for what we did while we still lived on the earth. So, life on earth is very short. And after dying, there is going to be an everlasting life. But this everlasting life is going to be determined by what we did while we're still living. So if you are here on the earth and you are living a negative life, you're doing wrong things, you're doing the bad things that Allah does not want you to do, or the things that Allah forbids you from doing, you're going to have a miserable, everlasting life. You're the one who is going to dwell in the hellfire. But if you're here, you're living like me, you're living a rightful life. When you die, you're going to live a good, everlasting life. You're going to dwell in Jannah, in heaven. So you're going to be in paradise for the rest of your life. So what does this one mean? That while we are still living, let us try as much as we can to do the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to do. So, this day when you're going to experience the everlasting life, the day when you're going to resurrect, the day when you are going to assemble before our Lord, the Creator, and we account for what we did while on the earth, is what we are terming as the Day of Judgment. And it's what we are looking at today. We are going to turn back to our Lord. We are going to account for the lives that we lived on the earth. This day of judgment is given different names. So today I'm calling it the day of judgment, but another time I may refer to it differently as below. For example, I may say that it is the day of resurrection. Why do I say a day of resurrection? This is because this is the day when man is going to come back to life. Today, you are going to die. After dying, you're going to be buried. But after being buried, when this day comes, you're going to resurrect. You're going to come back to life. And because you're going to come back to life, that's why I'm calling it a day of resurrection. Also, the day of judgment is known as the day of rising, the day of coming up again. Why are we calling it the day of raising? Because you're going to raise up from your graves. After being buried, after staying underground for some time, when this day comes, your grave is going to break into parts. It's going to open up. And when it opens up, you're going to come back. You're going to raise up. And because you're raising up, that's why you call it the day of raising. Still, the day of judgment can be called the day of paying back. What are we paying back? Remember, I said when I was starting that when Allah created us, He gave us a free will. And when we are given a free will, it means that we are able to decide between what is right and what is wrong, what is good and then what is bad. So, after deciding what is good and what is bad, at the end of the day, the good that you do or the bad that you do is the one that is going to determine your final fate. So, it is this final fate that you're going to be paying back. Allah is going to pay you for what you did while still on earth. So if you're one kind of person who did bad things, you're going to be paid back negatively. You're going to be rewarded negatively. How negatively? You're the kind of person, for example, who is going to find yourself being so thirsty on the day of judgment, and you're going to be fed on hot pass. You're going to find yourself being drugged. You're going to find yourself being put in the hellfire. You're paying back for what you did while you were still living. And if you're that kind of person who lived a rightful kind of life, how are you going to pay back? You're going to be rewarded positively. You're the person who's going to be cared for by the angels when you die or when this day comes. You're the one person who is going to be under the shadow of Allah while others will be crying of the hot sun. You're going to be one kind of person who is going to drink from the pools of the prophets that you followed when you resurrect. You're the kind of person who is going to be led to pass over Silatwa. You're the kind of person who is going to be able to see the face of Allah. Because when we die, not everybody will be able to look at the face of Allah. It is only the rightful doers that will be able to be rewarded in that kind of manner. So that because we are going to pay back for what we did, we are calling the day of judgment the day of paying back. The day of judgment can also be referred to as the event. Why the event? because it is an occasion. All of us, we are waiting for it. We know that it must happen, no matter when it is going to happen. But the fact is that because it is going to happen, because we are waiting for it, it is an event. So that day will come to happen. Still, it is the day of humiliation. Man is going to be humiliated because of what he did while still on earth. It is the day of compensation. You're going to compensate for people. Today we are here, you are torturing others. You're there, you are backbiting your friends. You are there, you are rumor mongering about them. You're there, you're doing all sorts of things. You're there, you're getting annoyed with them. Maybe people are even saying salam, but you cannot even respond to it because you're too much annoyed with them. But when this day comes and people's scales are kind of weighing low, somebody will run to you and say, please, which names are there in class? Please, maybe Latif, this day I said my salam to you and you did not respond. Please pay me back because my scale is weighing low. So you're going to compensate for what you did while you're still living on earth. It is also known as the decisive day. Why a decisive day? Because on this day, Allah is going to decide the fate of man. This is when Allah will say that Sumaya, you go to hell, whereas Hajara, you should go to paradise. That Nasib, you go to paradise, whereas another one called Abdul should go to hell. Allah will decide where people will reside forever and forever. The day of judgment can also be referred to as the counting day. Why the counting day? Because this is the day that Allah is going to count for the deeds that we did while still on the earth. The good deeds will be put there, and then the bad deeds will also be put there. Then it will be counted to see which one weighs much than the other. It is also known as the day of grief and regret. Why the day of grief? Why the day of regret? It's because the wrongdoers will be grieving. The wrongdoers will be regretting the kind of life they lived on the earth. This is the time when they'll be asking God to give them a chance to come back to life and maybe do the rightful things. This is the time when they're going to say they didn't know how I wish how ABCDZ was not done. They're going to be regretting. But however much they will regret, however much you wrongdoer who is there, you will regret, there will be no more chance to be given to you. The chance that we have is now. So if you've been doing something wrong, it's high time you change that wrong that you are doing into something that is right. When this day comes, you're not crying, you are not regretting, but you're rather celebrating and enjoying. It is also known as the day of gathering. Why the day of gathering? Because this is the day when all humankind, or when all mankind, from the time of Prophet Adam up to the time of Prophet Muhammad, is going to gather. All of us will resurrect, all of us will come together, something that has not happened before. But at least this time will bring us together. And because it will bring us together, we are referring to it as the day of gathering. That this day of judgment can also be known as the inevitable. Why the inevitable? Because whether we like it or not, it will have to happen. It will happen. No matter when it will happen. And the time it will happen, none of us will escape that day. So because we shall not escape it, and because it will happen, and because all of us will witness it, That's why we say that it can also be known as the day of inevitable or the inevitable day. It is also called the day of sorting. The day of sorting. Why sorting? And what is going to be sorted? Because this is the day when the wrongdoers will be separated from the right doers. And I will say, these for whose deeds are weighing much of the positive should come this side, whereas those whose deeds are weighing so negative, they should be this side. So the wrongdoers will be separated from the right doers. And then after that, Allah will take a final decision. It is also called the hour. Why the hour? Because during this time, a lot will be happening. People will be confused. Judgment will be taking place. People will be pleading. It is an hour where a lot of things are going to be happening. So because of that, it's called the hour. It is also called the striking hour. Why the striking hour? Because Allah will make the heaven produce some sounds on his what? On his orders. It's also called the last day. Why the last day? Because this is the last day when man is going to be judged, to have the final fate. Then it can also be called the hereafter. Why the hereafter? Because today you're living a life. But after you die and you are buried, and then after being buried, you resurrect, you're going to be exposed to another life. So because you're going to be exposed to another life, that's why we say that the day of judgment is as well the day of the hereafter. The hereafter is that what we are living today is going to be different from what we are going to experience when we die. So, having known, having explained the day of judgment in different ways, having given it different names, then the question is, what are those signs that show us that the day of judgment is about to come? What are the signs of the day of judgment? The signs of the day of judgment can be categorized into two: the long term and the short term signs. The long term signs are those signs that started coming back from the time of Prophet Muhammad. They are still coming because we're already witnessing them, and they will still come. Whereas the short term are those that will appear when man, or when the day of judgment will be left with a little time to happen. So we categorize the signs into two: the long term signs and the short term signs. What are some of the long term signs? Those signs that started happening long time and we are already seeing them and are still coming. Below are some of them. That during this time, that when the day of judgment is about to come, one of the signs will be the coming of Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad already came. He was born in 570 AD. And he's the last of the prophets of God. And he came with the last message to man. So, because he's the last of the prophets of God, it means that we are drawing closer to the day of judgment. Because the prophets were very many. But if there were very many, and the last was already sent, and was born in 570 AD, And he got that message in 610 AD. So it means that that was one of the signs of the day of judgment. That still, there can be a reduction in time. What does this one mean? Reduction in time. Because man is living on earth for a stipulated or for a specific period of time. But every time, every minute that passes, every hour that passes is not regained. So every time that passes, or every hour that passes, reduces on the time that we are still living on earth, and therefore draws us closer to the day of judgment. So therefore, this one means that we are getting, or it is one of the signs of the day of judgment. Another sign is the possession of wild animals in people's homes. Normally, it is expected that if homes are to bear animals, there should be domesticated animals, or there should be domestic animals. Take an example of maybe cows, goats, sheep, etc. But of recent, people are living with the wild animals in their homes. They are taming them. Animals that are meant to be in the bush, not to associate with people, people have brought them into their homes. And the prophet said that once that one happens, it will be a sign of the day of judgment. Then talk about women doing men's work. Today, you move around, you're going to find the women doing work like maybe pottery work. Look at the different construction sites. You're going to find ladies pushing wheelbarrows of sand, pushing wheelbarrows of maybe bricks, pushing wheelbarrows of cement, etc., etc., etc. That work is not meant for ladies. But because times are changing, because we are drawing closer to the day of judgment, women are doing work that is meant to be for men. Look at driving. Of recent, even women have started riding what? Borders, which is not expected of a woman. So that one is a sign of the day of judgment. Then women behaving like men. How are we behaving like men? You find a woman dressed up in a trouser like that of a man, then walks on the streets. You find a trouser, a woman, you find her putting on a shirt, then moves on the street, and so on and so forth. That one is a sign of the day of judgment. You're going to find men behaving like women. How are men today behaving like women? Men are bleaching themselves. They want to look as, I don't know whether as beautiful as women, but they also want to get as brown as the brown ladies that they see, whatever the case may be. The point is that they are behaving like women, they are bleaching their bodies. Men are piercing their bodies. You move around, you're going to find men having pins in their nose. You're going to find men having pins in their ears. You're going to find them with pins all over the body. The other one would be for women to beautify themselves. So they're more or less behaving like women. You move around, you see, or you find men wearing cosmetics. They wear makeup. You find somebody puts on propaganda, somebody puts everything that is meant for women. So because they are behaving like that, it is a sign of the coming of the day of judgment. Then judges being unfair. How are the judges being unfair? Because the prophet talked about it and said that once this one happens, it will be a sign to the coming of the day of judgment. Today, you may be having a case whereby somebody wronged you and you indeed present it in the court to the judges, whereby it will be point clear that you're the one who was maybe wronged. You're the one to be judged in the right way, in the right manner. But because you're poor, this judgment will not be in your favor. The person who's having a lot of money will kind of corrupt the judges, and therefore they will take the case against you. Instead, you're going to become the wrong person, yet you're the one who was wrong. So this is a sign of the day of judgment. Otherwise, if it wasn't, then I would be doing everything in the best way possible. They'll be doing everything in a fair manner. When the day of judgment is about to come, another sign that the prophet talked about will be the practicing of zina. That zina will be at its increase, and it will be everywhere. People will not be minding where they're doing it from. Remember that zina means adultery and fornication. Adultery means illegal sex between married couples, whereas fornication is illegal sex between unmarried people. Eh? You are there, you're still a student, but while you're outside there, you know how you're behaving. You know how many girlfriends that you're having, you know how many boyfriends that you are having. But no matter how many you're having, but what you should know is that whatever you're doing with them, or with him, or with her, is fornication because you have never been legally married off. Another sign of the day of judgment is the prevalence of alcoholism, that people will be taking a lot of alcohol. People will be taking a lot of wine, will be practicing a lot of wine drinking. Check yourselves today. Check the areas where you are living. How are the youth behaving? How are the women behaving? How are the males behaving? Today you're going to find a person, a youth of your age outside there. When from morning up to evening, they're moving with, what do they call it? Water gin. Water gin, those small, small bottles, the transparent bottles with that liquid like water. But it is alcohol. People are taking kombuchas every day. People are taking mukombot every day. People are taking whatever kind of alcohol that is brewed outside there. People, they are taking it. But the point is that it is at its increase. It's it is that it's increase. It is a lot. It is happening a lot. But because the prophet talked about it, it is a sign of the coming of the day of judgment. Another sign is the increase of immorality. Increase of immorality. What is immorality? The practicing of evil things without any fear, without any favor. Look around you. What are some of those things that people are doing without any kind of shame? When you move around, check the nudity that is happening. People are moving almost naked, whether on the streets, whether in the homes, whether on the beaches. People are almost moving naked. That is immorality. Look at homosexuality. It is all over the world. Everywhere in every country, people are crying of homosexuality, lesbianism, whatever the case it is, but the people are practicing it. And the prophet said that when those things are at the increase, there will be a sign of the day of judgment. Another immorality that is happening, prostitution. Actually, with the homosexuality, you find that even some countries have come to legalize it. But when it is not allowed as far as the creation of man is concerned. Then construction of good residentials. The prophet said that when the day of judgment is about to come, you're going to find people minding much about the places of residence than working for their graves. Check where you're coming from. I don't know there, but you know there better. Check the house where you're coming from. Majority of you, you're going to find yourselves sleeping in sturdy buildings. Each one of you, or most of you, are coming from. In your parents' home, you've got a self-contained rule with each and every thing. It is your own home within a parent's what? Home. The point is that the home is too beautiful to the extent that the father or the parent spent a lot of effort on it, spent a lot of money on it, yet maybe some of that effort, some of that money would be diverted to work for that time when that parent of yours will die. Who would turn part of it to work for his what? For his grave. But because the day of judgment is about to come, people are not minding about what they'll meet in the graves, but they're minding about this life on the earth. They want to live a better life as if they're not going to die tomorrow. Then, once poor people becoming rich, that once also this one happens, it will be a sign of the day of judgment. You're going to find in the places where you live that someone was once poor. Maybe somebody was once making bricks. Maybe someone was once a teacher. And then time will come when this person gets a lot of money. When this person kind of succeeds in life, when this person becomes very rich, the excellent, everybody will be wondering that is this the madam that we knew? Is this the person that we have always seen at our bed, maybe roaming around, begging, doing ABCDZ? So people will be wondering, where has he got the money from? Where has she got the money from? But will be all by God's grace. But once this one happens, the prophet said that it will be a sign of the coming of the day of judgment. That once the poor people will become rich people and everybody around will be praising them. Then lots of religious knowledge. But when the day of judgment is about to come, you're going to find the religious knowledge kind of disappearing. The people will no longer have sources where to get the religious knowledge from. How is this one happening? Many of the religious people are dying away in different ways. Some are being killed innocently, whereas others are being killed through wars, and others are dying natural death. But no matter the way they are dying, the point is that they are religious people and they're dying with the knowledge. So because they are dying with the religious knowledge, it means that this kind of religious knowledge is disappearing. So time will come when we do not have a point of reference. The people we are now running to, the people that have been running to get this knowledge will no longer be there. Another sign of the coming of the day of judgment is the praising of fellow human beings. That you're going to find a person like me when I'm praising another human being for what he or she is, for what he or she is doing, other than praising the Almighty Allah. Yet the Quran says, yet Allah says that all praises be to the Almighty Allah. That one you can find it first from Surah Al-Fatiha. But people will no longer mind about that. Instead, they will be praising others for that they feel like praising because of who they are, because of what they have. But it is a sign of the day of judgment, and all the things that I'm talking about have happened before, and they're already happening, and they will still happen. The parents eating from zina. What does this one mean? That parents will no longer be minding about where the children are getting what they are giving their parents, what they are giving to their parents. For example, you may be a girl outside there, but you've got a boyfriend, though it is not allowed. It is very illegal. It is not Islamic. Fornication is not part of Islam. We only recognize legal marriage. But I know it's happening there. But much as it's happening there, you may go out with your person. You may go out with your boyfriend. Then that boyfriend of yours maybe buys certain things. Say fish, say chips, say pizza, and maybe give you some things. So as you get them, you pack and then you take home. When you take home, you share some with your siblings, then you keep some for your parents, especially the mothers with whom we interact much. So that mother that you give, because she knows that you're not working, but she will not ask you that my daughter, where have you got this one from? She will just say thank you and then enjoys whatever that will have brought to her. But that will be her eating from zina. In Uganda it's called okulya mu bwerere waki bw'omwana wo. But it's bad and it's a sign of the coming of the day of judgment. Otherwise, a responsible parent who knows that you're not working or who knows that the source where you're getting something is not the rightful source will not accept to eat what you will bring to her. Another sign of the day of judgment is the number of women exceeding that of men. That when the day of judgment is about to happen, you're going to find a world filled with big numbers of women than that of men. To the extent that a time will come when the ratio of women or men to men will be 1 man to 50 women. God forbid. God does what? Forbid. But the point is that the number of women would be too high compared to that of women. Look at our country today when the population is kind of studied. When it is kind of analyzed, you find that the number of women is already bigger than that of men. Another sign of the coming of the day of judgment is the possession of too much love for money than anything else. That all the time people will be, how can I say this? People will be having a lot of urge to get money. They don't mind about other things, but the word on their mouth will be money, money, money. In everything they will do, they'll be like, I want money in this, I want money in this, I want money in this. They'll be having too much love for money. And because they'll be having that too much love for money, the prophet said that when this one happens, it will be a sign of the coming of the day of judgment. The prophet also said that there will be endless wars in the world. That you're going to find different countries fighting one another, with or without genuine reasons. Look at Sudan today. North is fighting the South. Look at Iraq, Iran, they're still fighting. Look at other countries. People are fighting one another. They're killing one another. But it's a sign of the day of judgment. Because they would be reconciling. Because there's nothing that can fail. Everything can be sorted out on a round table. Another sign of the coming of the day of judgment will be the occurrence of incurable diseases. Diseases without medicine. Previously, we've been having HIV/AIDS. HIV/AIDS without medicine. Today, what are we having? We are having COVID-19. It is an incurable disease. So it is a sign to the coming of the day of judgment. Those are some of the long-term signs of the coming of the day of judgment. And there are very many. There are very many. I'll give you a point of reference where you can go to and get as many as possible. But then, let us try to turn to the short-term signs of the day of judgment. Yajuja and Majuja. What are some of the short-term signs of the Day of Judgment? Remember, I say that the short-term signs of the Day of Judgment are those signs that will appear, those signs that will come when the Day of Judgment is left with just a little time to happen. What is that little time? God knows better. But the point is that the moment we see those ones, it will be a little time left for us to experience the day of judgment. And some of them are these ones. At one, that will be the coming of a man by the name of Mashel Dijal. Mashel Dijal will be a one-eyed creature, a one-eyed man that will come to confuse people such that he convinces them to turn away from the belief in one God. The Quran says that time, towards the day of judgment, people will suffer a lot of hunger. They will not have anything to eat. But this Mashak Dajjal will come, will have access to the eats, will have access to the drinks. And to these people that will be suffering, will be telling them that when you believe in me, I can give you this. When you believe in me, I can give you that. So when people believe in him or in this creature, they will die unbelievers. So when this one-eyed man comes to confuse people, to convince them, to give them whatever they not have access to, it will be a sign to the coming of the day of judgment. Another sign will be the coming of Prophet Isa. Prophet Muhammad, Prophet Isa is then called Jesus. This one is believed to have died and then went to heaven. But time will come when he will come back to life and live a normal life just like any other human being. The Quran says that he will come back, he will marry, he will have a life, so a family, then finally he will die. So he will live a normal life. So when this Prophet Isa comes back to life, what is he going to do? One, to live a normal life. Two, he's going to call people to Islam. He's going to invite them to Islam. He's going to deny those that claim that he told them about Trinity, that is the existence of God in three. Who do that? It is believed that when this prophet Isa comes, right, who will be the one maybe to help request Allah to kill this Dajjal. To pray to Allah. That he will be the one to kill that creature called Dajjal. That prophet Isa will die. And when he dies, his funeral prayers will be conducted by the Muslims or the believers. So the point is that when the day of judgment is left with just a little time to happen, there will be the coming back of Prophet Isa. Another sign, short-term sign, the coming of the day of judgment will be the appearance of Ajuja and Majuja. These are said to be large groups of people that they will come on the earth. They'll be very short. They'll be very many, but they will spread all over the world because none of us have seen them. But that's what the books says. That's what a prophet said. That when these very many groups of people come, very short as they will be, they will not be, I don't know, their shapes will not be understood by people. But the point is that they will come. And when they come, they will destroy each and everything in the world. They will destroy each and everything in the world. So, Prophet Isa and the believers who believe at that time will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to kill them such that people can overcome them. Because after they had after they will destroy each and everything, it will mean that people will be left with nothing. And that people need to be rescued. And they'll only be rescued when Jesus Christ or when Prophet Isa and the believers who be existing at the time will pray to Allah to kill such creatures. Then there'll also be a time when the sun will change its direction. That instead of rising from the east, this time it's going to be rising from the west. And the moment that one comes, it will mean that the day of judgment will be left with a little time to happen. Then there will also be the beast of the world, the beast of the earth. That this beast, it is an animal that will also come from underground. That when it comes from underground, it will also live on the earth to disturb people. Some things cannot be explained beyond that because it's Allah who knows how they're going to come about and why they are going to come. But all we have to know, just as the prophet said or taught, there are signs to the coming of the day of judgment. And the moment these ones appear, it will mean that we have got a little time to assemble and account for what we did while still on the earth. So far, we have explained the day of judgment. We have explained the different names that can be referred to it. We have explained the longer term signs of the day of judgment. Then we have explained the short term signs of the day of judgment. So, having looked at those ones, then what next can we look at? The next thing we can look at are the events of the day of judgment. Events of the day of judgment. What do we understand by events? The things that are going to happen on the day of judgment or when that day happens. One, there is going to be some of the events of the day of judgment include the following: that when this day happens, we do not know when it will, but Allah knows when it's going to happen. However, it is said that it will happen on a Friday. But the most important thing is what is going to happen when this day comes. And when this day comes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to order Angel Israfil, the angel in charge of blowing the trumpet, to blow the first trumpet. When the first trumpet will be blown, what is going to happen? That every creature that will still be having life, that will still be living, will have to die. If I'll be still living, I will die. Because someone will say that Allah say that every soul shall have a taste of death. So it's not that one will be still existing at that time, that one will stay standing without dying. No. Everything will die the moment the first trumpet will be blown. So after everything dying, there will be development of any earthquake in the west, in the east, in Saudi, so in the Arabian Peninsula and everywhere. And when the earthquake happens, it is said that the earth will break. So all those creatures that will have died will be buried under the ground. So the mountains will also flatten to the extent that the whole world, the whole earth will be very flat. That we can be able to see what is in the corner west, corner south, corner north, corner east. Then the heaven will also break. That heaven up will no longer be there. That is when the first trumpet will be blown. Then after some time, which time we do not know, whether to be that very day or to take some hours or some days. But the point is that the second trumpet will be blown. And when the second trumpet will be blown, what will happen? All living creatures, those that will have died after the first trumpet, and those that died long time, right from the time of Prophet Adam, will come back to life, including animals. We shall all come back to life. And when we come back to life, we shall be barefooted. We shall be naked. The men will be uncircumcised. The people will be like drunkards. They'll be moving up and down. You're going to find a parent, you're going to be finding a child, but when nobody is bothered about the other, everybody will be on his or her own. When this day happens, or after this one happening, there will also be a fire. That this fire is going to kind of grow from the lakes that will be there. That it is the one that is going to chase people to the judgment ground, where we are going to assemble and then be judged for what we did while we still lived on the earth. Then, on the assembling ground, what is going to be there as another event, that as we assemble or as we come to the assembling ground, all of us are going to line behind our respective prophets. That if you are a Muslim, you're going to be behind Prophet Muhammad. If you are a Christian, you're going to be behind Prophet Isa. If you are a Jew, maybe you're going to be behind Prophet Moses, and so on and so forth. But the point is that we are going to go to the assembling ground and then we assemble behind our respective prophets. Still on the assembling ground, what is going to be there? That the sun will be brought near our heads, so a few meters from our heads, to the extent that people will sweat a lot because it will be too hot for them, especially the wrongdoers. They'll sweat. The extent that the sweat will move from their heads throughout the body, then down to the feet. And then they'll be feeling a lot of thirsty. And when they feel a lot of thirsty, they will be fed on hot pass, on hot blood. That all that is going to happen while we shall be on the assembling ground. That still, what shall be there? Those that did good things while on the earth, at least that will be a shade of Allah. And for them, they'll be under God's throne. That is why they'll be protected from the sunshine. And when they kind of feel thirsty, when we kind of, with the rightful doers, feel thirsty, we shall be made to drink from the pools of our respective prophets. Because, for example, the prophet will be having the pool, the river called the Kawthar. Its water will be more sweeter than even what? Than even honey. But that's how shall we, the rightful doers, drink from. That while still on the assembling ground, because of a lot of suffering, there will be a period of intercession. The Prophet Muhammad will plead to Allah to start judging the people so that they stop suffering from the judgment ground. And when he pleads, Allah will accept. And that when he accepts, he'll come to ask people about the lives they lived while on the earth. And Hajra, you lived for 25 years. You lived for 40 years. How did you spend your life from this time to this time to this time? That you are there, Sumaya, you are there, Halima. How did you spend your time? That yes, we are born during this time and you died at the age of 25. How did you live your life? So after explaining ourselves out, we are going to be given our records of deeds. That the angels who record our deeds, right? That is Atid and Akib. They're going to bring them before Allah. The rightful doers are going to receive their deeds from their rightful hands and from in front. Whereas the wrongdoers will receive theirs from the back and from the left hand side. And that is when you will know that the moment you get from behind, your life after will not be the best. So when the records will be brought, they will be weighed. They will be put on a weighing scale to know which one weighs higher than the other. Are they the wrong deeds or the good deeds? So when the good deeds are higher, you'll be sorted. And when the bad deeds are higher, still will also be sorted. Then we shall have a column of the wrongdoers and a column of the rightful doers. So after the records being given, after them being weighed, now we are going to pass over Siratwa. Siratwa is a narrow bridge. It is kind of a thread, but below it there is fire. This narrow bridge called Siratwa, and after our deeds have been weighed, this is the time, according to the teachings of Islam, when Allah is going to appear to the rightful doers. And He will lead them to pass over this bridge without any challenge. They'll be walking, or they'll be kind of faster, like a lightning. They'll pass with a lot of ease, right? The first person to pass, as the teachings say, it will be Prophet Muhammad. After Prophet Muhammad, then other believers will also follow. Then the wrongdoers will come last. And as they will be attempting to pass over Siratwa, Allah is going to make them fall fall into the hell fire, and that one will be their final destination. Then the moment you fall in the hellfire, that will be your destination. Those that have managed to maneuver are the ones that will go to paradise. However, what we have to note is that some people did some wrongs and then after did some rightful deeds. These ones will have a taste of fire, but then after a given period of time, Allah will get them away from the hellfire and then gives them a good final destination, which is paradise. So, paradise and hell are the final destinations of man after being judged by Allah. But this final destination is dependent on man's deeds while still on the earth. The moment your deeds are good, you have a final destination. But the moment they are bad, you will have a life of regret after you have died. So, having looked at the events of the day of judgment, we can now have a general picture of how the day will be like. Having looked at the signs that came, that are still coming, that we have seen already, and the events, then how will the situation be on that very day? This one brings us to the picture, general appearance, or the general kind of life on the day of resurrection. How will it be like? How people be behaving? What you have to know is that the day of judgment will be a day of misery as well as a day of enjoyment to those that did good. Those that did bad will not enjoy, whereas those that did good will be having a lot of celebration on that day. So, what is going to happen? One, we are going to spend the whole day standing because we shall be witnessing the different events of the day. We shall not have time to sit down. We shall keep the whole day standing. And it said that the day will be too long to the extent that its length is counted to be 50,000 years. Today, you wake up when you've got your own problems, challenges, and you see that the day is just 12 hours and the night is 12 hours. And you see as if the day is not coming to the nighttime and the nighttime is not coming to the daytime. But just imagine, just one day taking 50,000 years. But you are standing, you're going through a lot of challenges. That is a lot. That is a lot. That is a lot. And the only way we can find ease in that day is by starting to do the rightful things now and forever until the time when we shall die. That on this day, so the sun will be brought near people's heads, the expense of the day. It will be shining a lot to the extent that people will be sweating from their heads throughout the body down to the toes. And because of the too much sunshine, because of too much sweating, you're going to find people feeling a lot of thirst. They're going to be a lot of thirst. And moreover, there will not be eats, there won't be drinks. And whoever be feeling thirst, especially the wrongdoers, will only be given hot pus, hot blood to feed on. That is an experience on that day. However, those who will have done good with the rightful doers, we are going to be under the shade of Allah. That still on that day, on that day, people will be naked. You're a mother, you're a father, there is a child. You'll be as naked as you were born, no matter the age at which you died. But the good thing is that whether a mother, whether a son, whether a daughter, nobody will be bothered about the other. Every be minding his or her own business. In addition to being naked, we are going to be barefooted. Men will be uncircumcised. The way they were born without being circumcised is the same way they are going to resurrect. That also people will be running from each other. You a parent, you find your mother, you run away. Because the moment maybe you stay closer to him or her, you may find yourself compensating for some of the misdeeds you did to him or her when you were still living. So people will be hiding from one another. So that day, as another experience, we are going to line behind our prophets. And Prophet Muhammad will come to intercede, to plead before Allah, to plead to Allah to start judging people. That still, when we are there, the first thing that God is going to look at is the prayer. Is the what? The prayer. Today we are Muslims, they tell us to pray, but for you only want to pray when the sheikh has come to the katimba to chase you out of the dormitory. Before the senior woman stands on your shade that say, can you please go for prayers? You do not pray. But the moment you die, nobody will tell that every night you wake up and pray. But Allah will look at that time that was meant to be for prayer and see whether you did it or not. And if you did it, was it correct or not? And if it was correct, then you may find other things may being ignored. That still, on this day, people will resurrect according to their deeds on the earth. That, for example, if you die when you are an adulterer, how are you going to raise up? How are you going to resurrect? You're going to resurrect when your face is planted or with different private parts of those people that you committed adultery with or you committed fornication with. No matter their number, for us we shall see them. We shall count this people that you slept with, depending on the number of those private parts that will be having. That still on this day, what happens? They will be like drunkards. They'll be like confused. They'll move up and down. They'll be asking themselves what will be happening. They'll even reach a time for asking who has woken us from our sleep. That we are sleeping peacefully. But who is that has woken us up? And so on and so forth. So a lot will happen as far as the day is concerned. People will experience a lot, but the experience will depend on the deeds that you had while on the earth. If they were good, you have kind of good experiences on the judgment ground, and if they were bad, still you will experience negative. You have negative experiences on that day. Finally, let us look at the importance of the belief in the day of judgment. What do we benefit, we as Muslims, if we believe in this article? Is it of any importance for us when we are still here living on the earth and then in the hereafter? Will it have a change as far as man's conduct is concerned or not? So we can say that the belief in the 50th article of faith, because the 50th article of faith is the day of judgment, it can come along with the following importances. That one, much time I would have to it. Some of the importances of believing in the day of judgment are that when you believe in the day of judgment, it will differentiate you as a believer from a disbeliever. How is this one going to happen? It's only a person who believes that will believe in this day. So if you believe in this day, it means that you are different from the one who does not believe. So you'll be able to be distinguished from a disbeliever. That also that belief in this day helps to regulate man's conduct. How are your conduct, or how is your conduct going to be regulated? You know that when you die, our final fate, our judgment is going to depend on what we did, or on what we do while we are still on the earth. So when you do good, you will receive good. When you do bad, you will receive bad. So after you have known what will happen to you after doing good or after doing bad, you're going to change the way that you behave. You're going to regulate your behaviors, and then you decide whether to do good or to do bad. Then belief in the day of judgment makes religion meaningful. How does it make religion meaningful? Because when you believe in this day, you're going to know that after I die, I'm going to be rewarded either negatively or positively. So it means that there is a reason as to why you are believing in your religion. There is something that is going to happen afterwards. So the belief in this day helps us to find meaning as far as religion is concerned. That when we believe in the day of judgment, it helps us as believers to learn that we have to keep all our time on the earth praising Allah. Because it is from praising Allah that we are going to reap positively at the end of the day. That still, when we believe in this day, it is going to be a source of rewards to us because it is Allah that tells us to believe in the day. And the moment we believe in the day, He's going to reward us. That this day can also be a way of strengthening one's faith. That the knowledge that we get after believing in the day of judgment, it makes us stronger in faith. It makes us continue believing in our religion and whatever that the religion teaches us to do. Otherwise, if you don't have the belief, then you can't have the strength to continue believing as far as your religion is concerned. That still this one can be a source of paradise to us because everything that we do, for as long as God commanded it, we can get to what? Then we can have a final destination. That still, when we believe in the day of judgment, or when we become good believers, we shall have a chance to look at the face of Allah. Face of Allah. No one has ever seen the face of Allah, not even Prophet Muhammad, the most beloved. He only heard his voice when he went to gather 5 daily prayers. But there was a curtain between him and Allah. He only heard of his voice. But the importance of the day of judgment is that when this day comes, as the believers, we are going to get a chance of looking at the face of Allah. We are going to be able to see how Allah looks like. That still, when we believe in this day, we as Muslims, we get to know that every soul, every creature with a life will have a taste of death. Why or how is it important? Because when we are still living, we cannot know that even others will die. For us, we may think that we are going to live up to the last minute. But when this day comes, this is when we are going to see everything dying. So as Muslims, when we believe in this day, we come to know that at least every soul shall have a taste of death. Still, when this day of judgment comes, believers will get a chance of seeing the face of Prophet Muhammad. They will see Prophet Muhammad. He will plead for us and also be able to pray for us. So there are many, many importances that you can derive, that you can think of as far as the day of judgment is concerned. However, I will end the lesson by leaving you with two questions that you can attempt during your free time. So as I wind up, I'm going to leave you with two questions, and these are: describe the life that will be lived by the residents of Jannah or paradise, and two, describe the punishments that will be suffered by the residents of Jahannam or hell. During your free time, or even on your different chat groups, you can discuss with your friends and then come up with different answers. Then you can refer, you can go to Google, then you type in Islamic review about Judgment Day. After typing in this one, a lot of websites will be brought, but then you can specifically refer to www.whyislam.org. With that, I wish you a nice day and I wish you a safe stay. Please, COVID is still there. Keep safe as you wait to come back to school.